Hello everyone and welcome back to Mexico. My name is Graham, and in this video, what lessons did I learn about Mexico when I did the big Mexico road trip? I'm swallowing a little bit here because I've just had a really delicious sandwich for my lunch, and I'm still getting the chili chipotle to go down. So yeah, sorry about that. I thought I would be finished before I start filming, but obviously not. Right, the top 10. Number 1, safety. We travelled 2,663 kilometers from Cuernavaca to Merida and back again, and this doesn't include the driving around Yucatan to Progreso and cenotes and all sorts of other things that we'll talk about in the lessons learned. So there was a lot of driving, and the point is that absolutely nothing happened. There was no scams at the petrol stations. There was no robberies, there was nothing dodgy at police checks, although we went through about 6 of them. Absolutely nothing happened. So we know that there are stereotypical issues with safety in Mexico, but my experience is that you can travel very large distances in this country safely and without incident. So lesson number 1 is, if anybody tries to exaggerate the safety and security situation in Mexico, I might get a little bit kind of frustrated about that because my experience is different. Now, it is my experience, and perhaps if somebody else did the same journey 10 minutes later, it might be different. But the fact is that I am comfortable and happy with safety and security and the safety level of doing a large drive like this in Mexico, and that's a really positive and happy thing considering we live here. Okay, on to number 2, the beauty of Mexico. This country is incredible. It's beautiful, it's diverse, it's big obviously as well. And I knew some of that already because I'd done travels in my younger years to Copper Canyon and Puerto Vallarta and Zihuatanejo and so many other places that I knew it was a beautiful country. But even in the journey we made, we had tropical, we had beach, we had rainforest, we had mountains, we had snow-capped peaks, we had volcanoes, we had roads that went on for miles with no cars, and plenty of roads that went on for miles that were packed, yes, but also that kind of road trip feeling of being the only one as you glide down the road. We found that particularly on the Gulf Coast where there was a lot less traffic. So, definitely confirmed this is an incredibly beautiful and diverse country, and I highly recommend anybody watching who doesn't live here to come and experience Mexico, and for those of you that do, to get out and see some of the country. It is an amazing place. There is no question about that. Right, number 3, the people. So if the beauty of the country wasn't good enough, the people is another level as well. People here are friendly, they are happy, they are willing to help, and yes, it helps if you have Spanish, but certainly in Yucatan and in Merida in particular, you could get away with English, although with my wife being Mexican, and me working in Mexico and training people in Spanish, we use Spanish anyway, but we found people very helpful and generally happy all of the time. We went for Christmas with the family of a friend of my wife who'd never met us before, and they made us feel extraordinarily welcome. It was a fantastic experience to spend Christmas in Yucatan. Number 4, confidence. Now, this isn't confidence in driving. This is confidence in day-to-day life. So when we drive around Cuernavaca or to Mexico City from here, I can only describe my wife's state of mind as panic, basically. She always worries about the speed we're going, which lane we're in, what might happen, keep your eyes peeled. All of these kinds of things are a concern to her because she worries something might happen, especially as I'm from overseas and might be a target and all of this kind of thing. Well, we went to Cuernavaca for shopping just after we got back, and I can tell you it was the most relaxed, quiet and stress-free journey I've ever done in the local area with my wife. Those concerns have gone because we've done this big road trip and now the confidence is there. So that's another thing. Confidence in day-to-day life, in trusting Cuernavaca and what we do here has also gone up as well. And you know what they say, happy wife, happy life, right? So that's good as well. Okay, number 6. In Scotland, we have this concept called Munro bagging. Now, a Munro is a mountain that's over 3,000 feet high, and it's a traditional thing for people to bag them. That means they try and go up as many of these Munros as they possibly can to claim that they've climbed them. So it's called Munro bagging. Well, if it doesn't exist already, there should be cenote bagging. Cenotes, for those of you that don't know, are pools of water that can be found either sunken into the ground or potentially in caves, as well as one of ours was, Cenote San Ignacio, near Merida. And oh my God, cenotes are just beautiful to swim in, to see. They are just stunning places. And if anyone's watching in Scotland, if you think about the fairy pools on the Isle of Skye, that to me is a cenote, except it could be sunken into the ground or even in a cave, not just at ground level. But it reminds me of the fairy pools on Skye. Anyway, long story short, I want to go to more. So now I have a passion for visiting as many cenotes as I can, which means going back to Yucatan. And that's not a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. And this is a surprise to me, café con leche. Now, I do not drink coffee with milk, generally. I don't like it. However, there is a cafe next to the Zocalo in Merida that is famous for café con leche. And when I say it's good, it's good. It's absolutely phenomenal café con leche. So now that we've bought some coffee from Merida and we've worked out the best leche to go with it from our visit to that cafe who very kindly told us what they use, we can now create Merida café con leche in Cuernavaca anytime we like. So now I really love café con leche, whereas I would never have drunk it before I went to Merida. So of the many food-related things that are going to appear in this list, café con leche is definitely up there. Next, highways in Mexico are basically supermarkets. Now this is an odd one because obviously highways are fast lane, fast traffic roads. But in Mexico, there's always something being sold on the side of the road. Or, if you saw in the second video of the road trip, at the casetas when you're paying your toll, there's also sellers there, especially if there's a queue. And what makes this really interesting is not only can you buy just about anything while driving in Mexico, and if you see our video, anything includes Mickey Mouse, tamales, tacos, USB thumb drives, coconuts, pineapples, you name it, you can buy it when you're driving in Mexico. So the highways are like a big supermarket, and my wife likes to go, oh look, they're selling pineapples, let's buy some. Or, oh look, they're selling chocolates with coffee in them in Veracruz. Let's stop and buy some. So the end result is that we have a bag in the back of the car that is reserved for anything we buy on the highway. So do try and stop at some of these food places on the highway and experience buying either new things or perhaps things you've already tried from local people, because it tends to be very good quality and it tends to be an experience you'll never forget. Now, where are we? Safety, beauty, people, confidence, cenotes, cafe con leche, and highways. So that's 7. So number 8. Number 8 is food containing orange as one of the flavors, naranjas. Now, in Yucatan, there are so many dishes that we found that has orange within it, whether that's lomo de cerdo with orange dressing, or whether it's cooked in orange. Orange seems to be quite a common ingredient in food in Yucatan. And I have to say, it was all exceptionally delicious, as of course most Mexican food always is. I say most because I don't like frijoles. I'm sorry. I really don't like frijoles, and I'm kind of michi middle on nopales. I'm not massively keen on nopales. So I have to say most food is really good rather than all of it, but food with orange is exceptionally good. Okay, number 9, another food theme, seafood. We went to Progreso, which is on the Gulf Coast, about 20 minutes north of Merida, and we went to a fish restaurant. And I am just going to say it's some of the best fish I've ever had in my life. It was just amazing. It was fresh, it was delicious. There was so many different varieties of dishes, from tacos to camarones, all the way through to an entire fillet of a fish. It was amazing. Seafood in Yucatan is a must-do, and that's one of my lessons. Okay, and on to the final lesson of the trip. Toilets. Standard of toilets at service stations in Mexico can vary a little bit, but if you're careful, you can find really good service station bathrooms. So when we stopped in Cordoba, we stopped at a service station that had toilets you had to pay for, and when we went in, it was very clean. It was all good. But that's not to say that every service station is the same. So, if you are doing a long journey, prepare for variable facilities. Let's just leave it there. And on that note, we are done with all of the lessons that we learned from our big road trip to Merida. Now, slight apology for some of the sound quality in this video. There is somebody hammering on our roof at the moment. Apologies if you heard any bangs or any noises in the background. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.